Hi, HRN listeners. We're celebrating our 15th anniversary, and we have a really fun campaign and an ask for you. This 15th anniversary tour is aiming to bring you closer to unique food and music experiences in some of the most exciting cities in America. All the while, we're raising funds to support our work empowering the next generation of food systems storytellers through our fellowship programs. Here's how it works. Donate to HRN and be entered into a raffle in the city of your choice to win a dinner for two at a noteworthy restaurant and tickets for two to a concert at a prominent local venue. We have incredible partners in New York, Los Angeles, Philadelphia, Nashville, Las Vegas, Charleston, Asheville, and Ardmore, Pennsylvania, who have donated a meal for two and two tickets to a concert of the winner's choice. And all donations help fund our fellowship programs, where we're helping to build essential workforce readiness skills and food system storytelling skills. Check out heritageradionetwork.org/15 to donate and enter to win today. That's heritageradionetwork.org/15. Thank you.
This episode is brought to you by Danone North America, the world's largest B Corp, committed to doing all kinds of better for people and the planet. Learn more at DanoneAwayFromHome.com.
This week on Meat and Three, we bring you a sensational episode where each story hones in on one of the four senses that accompanies taste.
Many of the smells that we encounter in everyday life actually exist out there in the cosmos.
Food carries all these culturally specific meanings. The fact that, when you see an apple, it's not just an apple, right?
I was mostly interested in thinking about what knobs ASMR was pulling on maybe, or how we could explain it from a psychological or emotional or evolutionary standpoint.
Tune in to Meat and Three, HRN's weekly food news roundup, wherever you listen to podcasts.
Well, hello. Welcome to All in the Industry on Heritage Radio Network. I'm your host, Sherry Bayer, and it is Wednesday, October 21st, 2020. This is the 269th episode of this series, which is dedicated to behind-the-scenes talent in the hospitality industry. Today, my guest is a top chef with a new cookbook, and I will introduce her fully in a moment. First, as I do in every show, I will start out with my PR tip, and then later we will have my speed round game, industry news discussion, solo dining experience, and the final question. As the founder of Bayer Public Relations, I'm going to tip the show off with my PR tip of the week. So today's tip is to play with flavors. Don't be afraid to explore new territory, to try different ingredients, different recipes, and different techniques. Yes, there's comfort in doing and cooking and eating what we know and like, but it's fun to challenge ourselves and our palates, and we may just discover our next favorite thing. So whether you cook often or rarely, I challenge you to experiment and await the joy that it may bring. That's my tip today. Now I'm thrilled to have my guest joining me today. It is Leah Cohen. She is the chef and owner of Pig and Khao and Piggyback NYC in New York City. At Pig and Khao, Leah serves Southeast Asian cuisine influenced by her Filipino upbringing and her annual expeditions to the region. Leah is a recipient of the 2013 Star Chef's Rising Stars Award and an alum of Top Chef Season 5. In her debut cookbook, Lemongrass and Lime, Southeast Asian Cooking at Home, she gives home cooks the confidence to bring Southeast Asian cooking to their own kitchens. So hi, Leah. Welcome to the show.
Hi, how are you? Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining me. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, hanging in there.
Yeah, I hear you.
I feel like that's everyone's response right now. Hanging in there.
For the past, like 7 months.
Yep.
For sure. Well, I always like to start with my guests about their background and just find out how you got into cooking and what inspired you to pursue that as your career.
Sure, yeah. So, I mean, I feel like I've been cooking my whole life. I think I remember my first cooking class. I was probably 5 years old, and it was something simple, like baking. But my grandmother was a home ec teacher, and so I would always cook with her, and I would always cook with her during the holidays. And I just really loved being in the kitchen. And my parents both worked a lot, so I would always kind of just get dinner started for them. And then so it was kind of like the prep cook. I would like, chop some garlic or, put a pot of rice on for my mom. And then when she would come home, I would help her. So that was kind of like where I initially, I guess, fell in love with cooking. And then when I was in my early mid-teens, I guess, I went to a cooking school for the summer. And from there, I just, I didn't know at the time when I was like 15 or 16 that I wanted to make it a career, but I knew that I was super into cooking, and trying new things. And then after a failed attempt at college, regular college, I came back home. I went to U of A for like a semester, and then I came back home to go to just like a local school. And then I decided I needed a job. So I was cooking in a restaurant, and I realized that I was more excited to go to work every day than to go to school. So I stopped regular college again. And then I enrolled in the CIA. And that's kind of how it got started.
Wow. Well, I mean, enrolling in the CIA is quite a move. I'm always impressed at people who've graduated from there, because it's like the best of the best.
Yep.
So so then you're at the CIA, and then how did you what restaurants did you work out, or what was your track after that before launching your own place?
So yeah, after or during the CIA, I worked for David Burke. I did my internship there, and then at Park Avenue Cafe in the city. Originally, I actually wanted to do my externship, as I call it, in New Orleans, just because like I wanted to go party in New Orleans, but that didn't pan out. Probably, I think everything happens for a reason, and so I stayed local, and I worked for David Burke, and then I actually did the bachelor's program at the CIA, as well. And so after that, one of the chefs was like, I think you would do a really good job studying abroad in Italy. Have you ever thought about that? And I was like, no, but I would love to try. I mean, I love cooking Italian food. So he helped me get into a cooking school called the Slow Foods Program in Italy. And I did that for 6 months, and that gave me an opportunity to get a working visa. So I worked at two Michelin-starred restaurant in Sicily, and I was there for a little under a year. And then I came back home, and I was like, okay, now what? And so then I staged around at a bunch of different places, and I found a home at 11 Madison Park, which, as we all know, is, one of the best restaurants in the world. And so I was there for a year, and then I decided, fine dining is not really for me. And I just wanted to, find something that was a little bit more low key, kind of like, I think I'm just like a very low key kind of person, something that fit my personality. So I decided to work for Amberelle at Centro Vinoteca, which was in the West Village. It is no longer open. And I worked for her for 6 months as a sous chef. And then Top Chef came knocking, and someone had recommended me to, try out for the show. And I didn't really know much about the show because I was away when I was in Italy, when Top Chef was like really, really gaining its popularity. And then like when I came home, I went straight to work. So I didn't have time for TV. And so I think it took like about a month for me from when I applied or had sent in a video to when we started filming. It was like a really quick turnaround time. I feel like someone probably like pulled out last minute and they were like scrambling to like find a replacement, and that replacement was me. And so, yeah, I competed on Top Chef. And then after Top Chef, I came back to Centro Vinoteca and had left to pursue her TV career. So I kind of benefited from that and took over as chef de cuisine. And then I was there for about a year, and then I decided to do something completely different and move to Southeast Asia and really focus on a cuisine or multiple cuisines, but that part of the world that I had always found intimidating, but wanted to know more about and learn how to cook that food. And so, yeah, that is my story. And then after Asia, I came back and opened Pig and Cow.
Amazing. Wow. I mean, what experiences you had. I mean, from Italy to EMP to competing on TV and then traveling. I mean, it's quite a history. I love it. When you were on Top Chef, what type of I don't know, when you're with those challenges, were you kind of like finding your culinary style at that point, or was it really when you were on your travels in Southeast Asia that you felt you found your kind of calling of what cuisine was yours?
I would say, when I was competing on Top Chef, maybe a little bit I was finding my food voice, but I would say, I had cooked everyone else's food. I didn't know how to make my own food. I didn't know what my own food was at the time. So yeah, I think really, when I traveled to Southeast Asia, I knew that that was kind of the food that I wanted to be cooking for the long haul. And I didn't know it at the time because my mom is Filipino, and I've been going to that part of the world since I was 4 years old. Growing up, I kind of was training my brain and my taste buds about those flavors. And then it all kind of like clicked for me once I was there.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and I'm such a fan of your cooking. I mean, whatever clicked or however it worked.
Thank you.
But for people maybe listening that don't know the type of food you're doing at Pig and Cow and also at Piggyback, which and what the status is now with your restaurants, if you want to talk a little bit about that.
Sure. Yeah. So Pig and Cow has been open for 8 years. We just celebrated our 8-year anniversary in September. And
amazing.
We cook Southeast Asian food. At Pig and Cow. It is basically, all dishes or recipes that I learned either for that year abroad or when I, every year my husband and I go back to visit for R&D. And so, when I was there, originally I wanted to just focus on Thai food, but since you have to you're only allowed a 3-month visa when you're in Thailand. I don't even know if that's the case now, but initially it was 3 months. And so when my visa would run up, I would just go to a different country. And so I would spend like a month there and then always come back to Thailand. So I figured, I learned so many different dishes and types of cuisine in that year that I didn't want to just kind of pigeonhole myself to just one type of cuisine. And I feel like Southeast Asia is broad enough, but also narrow enough that like you could do a Southeast Asian restaurant without having to be super specific by the cuisine. And so, yeah, we're open for takeout and delivery, and we have outdoor seating. We're not open for indoors right now. At 25% capacity, it just doesn't make sense for us. And Piggyback, unfortunately, is still closed. We opened like 2 months before the pandemic hit. And it was a crazy opening. We were like so busy. Like I thought like I could not come up for air. We were that busy, and I thought I would never catch up because I just felt super behind on everything. And then COVID happened, and we have not reopened yet. Unfortunately, I just didn't think we had such a, Pig and Cow's been open for 8 years. So we have, people know the name, know the restaurant. We have our regulars. Piggyback, it's just 2 months, and there's so much competition out there just for takeout and delivery. And we really didn't get to, touch a big audience in that sense. So, and outdoor dining is unfortunate in that location because we are on a street where there's a police station. And so all the cop cars basically go halfway into the street. Like when they park, they back up, and it's like half of the sidewalk is being taken up by the rear end of their car. So we don't have space for outdoor dining. So we are waiting to reopen. I don't know how the winter, probably not in the winter. It doesn't make sense because I doubt we'll, be allowed 50% capacity. So spring 2021.
Wow.
TBD. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I hope your landlords are being kind with you with your rent.
Well, our partners actually own the building. So
well, that's
yeah.
good.
That is helpful, and our landlord at Pig and Cow has been as helpful as he could be. He still has a mortgage, and I understand all that stuff, but we did get a little break. So
Yeah. Well, I went by the other day and I got some food from your takeout window, which is awesome.
Thank
And
you.
it was delicious. And I can't wait to go back and have more. And I remember I was at your opening party for Piggyback, and that was quite quite a space. I mean, it's it's huge.
Yep.
And but it's interesting with you. We're talking about the police cars because it's like it's the first I've it's such a kind of random reason why you can't have outdoor dining. I mean, some people have city bikes racks in front of their places, and different reasons. But like how crazy is
Yep.
is
We did not, we were not lucky at both restaurants. Pig and Cow is on the side of the bike lane. So we don't have, the street parking. So we can't extend it to the street parking. So we have like, as you saw, a long, narrow, my husband likes to call it veranda. Makes it sound fancy. We did the best we could with the limited space that we can.
Yeah.
But at Piggyback, it's very unfortunate. And, the street was actually closed from the protests up until, I want to say, a couple of weeks ago. So we wouldn't even be able to get like our food delivered because it was blocked off for all vehicles. So, that space, I love that space. It's such a fun, huge restaurant slash, event space. But all the reasons why it made the most sense for us to open pre-COVID are the reasons why it doesn't make sense right now. Just like with location and, not having any sporting events in MSG or, and any events going on. And a lot of people are working from home. So it's a ton of office space around there. And I think it's probably at 25 to 30% capacity right now, is what I've heard. So yeah, very challenging.
I hear you on that for sure. It's been such a crazy time to be in, and just hoping for the best for everyone to get through it. What So let's talk about your cookbook a bit. So what inspired you to want to do a cookbook, and what was the process like? I know you worked with Stephanie Banyas, who I know, co-writing it. So Lemongrass and Lime. I love the title.
Thank you. I did not come up with it. The publishers did. It's like so hard coming up with names for a restaurant or for your baby or for a cookbook. And usually I'm the one who I think, comes up with something, a name. But for some reason, I was just stumped on this one. So yeah, the publishers came up with the name, and I like it. I think there are two ingredients that you'll find a lot in the cookbook, and they're ingredients that represent the cuisines and the recipes that you'll find. But yeah, I would say the cookbook took 3 years to make, which is a little longer than most cookbooks take. I think they usually take 2 to 2.5 years, but I was on the slower end, which is totally fine. And the book is based off of my travels to Southeast Asia. And I just wanted to have a book where, just like I didn't want to be so specific with just doing Thai cuisine or just doing Filipino food. A lot of cookbooks are very cuisine specific. So if someone who is like me enjoyed going to that part of the world and just wanted to, learn a handful of recipes from each country, this was kind of, this is a cookbook for you. So that's one of the reasons why I made it like that. And because it's a lot of them are the recipes that you'll find at Pig and Cow, or they were specials on the menu at Pig and Cow, or just dishes that I have always wanted to cook but never had a home for. I couldn't put them on my, on the menu at any of my restaurants because we had one in Jersey City as well, just because either the pickup was too hard or, for a bunch of reasons why, and I won't go into that, of why you can't necessarily put things on the menu that you want to. So I wanted to include those in the book and give them a home. And yeah, I had Stephanie as my co-author because I'm a terrible writer and she is much better. I mean, that's her, that she co-wrote like all of Bobby's books. So she is a professional in that sense. And she really helped me guide me through the whole process of a cookbook, because I had never done one before. And she has done, I want to say, like 20 probably. I might be getting that number wrong, but she has done her fair share of cookbooks. So that's kind of how it all went down.
Yeah, I was going to say, for anyone who I know you're referring to Bobby Flay because
yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so in case anyone doesn't know what Bobby is, that's Bobby.
Yeah.
So let me ask you my questions from my last episode. On episode 268, I had on Carlos Suarez of Bobo, Rosemary's, Claudette, and Roey's, and Jan de Rochefort of Boqueria Restaurants. And they're the founders of Safe Eats, which is a nonprofit organization whose mission is to support restaurants to keep their staff and guests safe. So first question is from Carlos. He wants to know, how do you make your pad thai unique and special? He noted he's been cooking quite a bit at home now and of pad thai. And so he was looking forward to your book and wanted to see maybe if that recipe is in it.
So that recipe is in the book. I like to use pork fat as the cooking fat, like not using like canola oil or anything like that. I use rendered down pork fat to use, and then I use tamarind paste, which there's a bunch of recipes out there for pad thai. So I don't know. I won't say which is the best or which is not, but I like recipes that use tamarind paste in the sauce. And I make fresh tamarind paste. I don't use I don't recommend using the one that you can buy pre-made in a jar. I just don't think that is as fresh tasting, even though like the tamarind is already dried, if that makes any sense. But I just feel like it tastes fresher if you just make it yourself. And I think they also add some like preservatives in the tamarind paste that's already pre-made. And I would say and good fish sauce. So I like Red Boat fish sauce a lot. I also recommend using Squid brand fish sauce. It's a little bit cheaper and more accessible, I think. Although Red Boat you can find I think you can even find it in like Whole Foods now, but back in the day, like a couple of years ago, you couldn't find it everywhere. But I think that it is much more available. And I would say in my book, we don't specify the quantity of the sauce because some people like theirs, saucier than others, and some people like minimal sauce. So I have the recipe for the sauce, and I would say if you're going based off my recipe, just add a little at a time. And then see if you want to add however much you want to add. My recipes are very much like a guideline, but I know that everyone has their own specific flavors and ways they like eating things. So some people might like things a little saltier or sweeter. So I would say at the end, if you want to add more sauce, but just, do a little at a time. And then I always adjust the flavor at the end by adding more fish sauce. And I think it says that in the cookbook. I don't have it right in front of me, but I always add more fish sauce at the end because I don't want to add too much in the beginning. The sauce has fish sauce in it, but I add extra fish sauce as well.
All right. Well, that's a lot of great secrets and tips. No, it's awesome. And I'm getting hungry now for some pad thai. So my second question from Jan is, what's your comfort food?
Pizza. whenever pepperoni pizza. Whenever I'm having a day that that's not going right, or it's just pizza makes me feel better always.
Yeah,
it's my go-to. It's what I like to eat for my birthday. I have like a place that I've been going to since I was a kid. So I always eat pizza every year for my birthday. I love pepperoni and I love pizza.
Awesome. Now I'm getting hungry for that too. Everything I think I'm due for a meal. So before we take a break, I just want to ask, what advice would you give to someone who wants to be a chef or restaurateur? Do you think it's important to go to cooking school? Your path was, I guess, like, I don't know if there is a traditional path nowadays, but I don't think yours was. But what advice would you give to someone?
I would say that, culinary school, while I enjoyed it and I excelled in culinary school, I don't think you have to necessarily go. CIA is a lot of money and you're never going to pay off your student loans being a line cook. But for me, I needed that kind of structure, and I needed, I think I benefited from it tremendously. But for people who, can learn as they go. I would say stage in restaurants. I know right now is a really weird time because of COVID and everything. But I would say be prepared to work a lot, be a sponge and just absorb everything. Don't think that you know a lot already, because you don't. And just, know that you're going to make mistakes along the way, especially for people who are opening restaurants, because I still make mistakes all the time. And be okay with that. Be okay with being uncomfortable. Just really try to find, your food voice as early as you can. So you have a clear vision of, what you want to do.
Yeah. Well, that's great advice. So, terrific. We will take a little break now, and we'll come back, and then we'll have my speed round game, industry news discussion, solo dining experience, and the final question. So stay with us. This is All in the Industry on Heritage Radio Network. Every time your customers eat and drink, they vote for the world they want to live in. And as the world's largest B Corp, To Know North America helps people vote for a better world, with all kinds of better dairy, coffee, and plant-based products, sourced and produced transparently. Danone North America has the brands people know and love, like International Delight, Oikos, Silk, So Delicious Dairy Free, Horizon Organic, and Stoke Cold Brew Coffee. But Danone North America represents more than just in-demand brands and better for your business products. They bring their B Corp certification to life in ways that protect the environment and communities by utilizing 100% renewable electricity sources to produce their products at their manufacturing facilities, committing $6 million to programs that restore the soil's ability to capture and sequester carbon, helping to restore more than 7.8 billion gallons to freshwater ecosystems through their water partnerships over the past decade, and committing to 100% reusable, recyclable, and compostable packaging by 2025. Learn how you can choose better at DanoneAwayFromHome.com. Welcome back to All in the Industry on Heritage Radio Network. I'm your host, Sherry Bayer, and my guest today is Leah Cohen. She is the chef and owner of Pig and Khao. She is a Top Chef alum, and she has a new cookbook out, Lemongrass and Lime, Southeast Asian Cooking at Home. So, Leah, it's time for my speed round game. What this is I name a couple things and you get to pick your preference, such as chocolate or vanilla. You
Vanilla.
Ready? Vanilla.
Oh, okay. I thought that was the first question.
Yeah, no, you got the sample one. You nailed it. So,
Okay.
all right, here we go. Eat in or eat out?
Eat out.
Wine, beer, cocktail, mocktail, or champagne?
Cocktail?
Hesitating there, but I gotcha. Cocktail. Okay, how about tasting menu or a la carte?
A la carte.
Small plates or large plates?
Small plates.
Communal table or chef's counter?
Chef's counter.
Tipping or all-inclusive charge?
Tipping.
Mooping or sisig?
Sisig.
I had a feeling you were going to say that, but I did get your mooping the other day, and it was quite delicious. Next time I'm going
Thank
to.
you.
I've had the sisig, but not during these times. So
Well, I would say during these times, mooping, just because the sisig you really want on the sizzling platter, which we don't do because everything's served in to-go containers, unfortunately. But normally, sisig all the way.
yeah, that makes sense. Okay, I have three more. Competing on a TV cooking show or writing a cookbook?
Oh, neither. I guess competing.
I'm thinking, what about traveling in Asia or traveling in Italy?
Traveling in Asia.
Yeah, and actually, I can't wait till we can travel again, and because I've been to Thailand and Laos, but I'd like to explore a lot more and spend more time there, like you did.
Yeah, those places are amazing.
Yeah, really, really, they are. So, well, when we can travel again. So,
Yep.
two more. Okay, cheese plate or dessert?
Dessert.
Manhattan or Brooklyn?
Manhattan.
Awesome. That's the game. It's fun. You got the speed of it, which is good. So for industry news, I picked out an article on Eater. It was titled, "When It Comes to Indoor Dining, Restaurant Workers Face the Greatest Risk." It all has to do with ventilation, aerosols, and the fact that restaurant workers are stuck in the same air for hours while working indoors. And this was by Alazar Sontag. So this is a big topic with indoor dining and with COVID, and now New York City is at 25% capacity. And it's interesting because I find the people I know, everyone is different with their take on whether they're comfortable dining out, dining outdoors, dining indoors. It's very personal. So I know for you, what's your feeling on indoor dining? I know you're just outdoor al fresco at Pig and Cow
Mhm.
at this time.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of different things to consider when we're talking about indoor dining. I would say, obviously, number first and foremost, like safety of your customers and your staff are the most important. And then, is it cost effective? Does it make sense and every restaurant is going to be different because of the layout and how much space they have, and and at what percent are we allowed to fill the restaurants? For us, 25% capacity does not make sense to do indoors. That would be like 16 people guests that we could have inside. And since we are doing outdoor dining, but it's just a takeout window, so we have no servers, we have no bussers. um, so we would have to bring back all that staff, and I don't know that we would really make money from that. Plus, we are going to have to upgrade our filtration system, and those filters are very hard to get right now. It's not even just like the expense; it's just like being able to get them. Um, and then there's also customer compliance. So uh, some people, obviously, I get it, or they're over COVID. They have, they're tired of doing all the things that we should be doing. And so ensuring that people are wearing their masks when they're not actually eating, or staying in their chairs. It's a lot. It's a lot of headache and responsibility as well. And we still don't know that it's necessarily safe for Manhattan yet. Numbers have been going up, but it has been specific clusters and specific targeted locations. So I don't know that that is necessarily because of indoor dining, but I think a lot of I would say that, and then of course the demand has to be there too, right? Because you can open and rehire everyone and upgrade your filtration system, but if you don't have customers who are coming in to eat your food, then it was all for no reason. So I mean, that's just all the things that business owners have to think of. And then God forbid someone tests positive in your staff, then all the protocols for that. So yeah, at 25%, it doesn't make sense for us. I don't feel comfortable eating indoors myself, so I'm not gonna do something that I don't feel comfortable doing. So we're gonna wait and see, I guess, and see. I think for the most part, Cuomo has done a very good job handling the pandemic, as great as someone could do. And if he allows for 50%, I think that would mean that, it is not showing a harmful threat or putting us in more danger. So I would consider it at 50%. But again, it would be something that I would it would take me a very long time to really kind of make a decision, because I just don't feel comfortable right now.
Yeah, no, everything you said, all your reasons make sense, and I agree with you on Cuomo. And I, having been in Manhattan through this pandemic, and just seeing how New Yorkers have responded, and that people are wearing masks, and we really got it, the numbers down, and we certainly don't want the numbers to go back up. And I mean, I feel for restaurant workers. I think it's a challenging position for them to be in for many reasons. I mean, even you touched on even just like how kind of like policing this with guests, and it's not like the role you want to have. I feel you got wearing masks is you have to wear them, and it's the protection they have. But it's been interesting I guess seeing what some restaurants are doing with putting in very fancy air circulation systems, and I mean, not everyone can afford
Yeah.
to do that.
Yep, exactly. I mean, listen, if we had unlimited resources or we had deep pockets that we could, tap into, we would maybe it would be different, because we would be able to pay for or yeah, to buy the super fancy filtration systems, but we don't. And so instead of putting someone at risk, we'll just hopefully
Yeah.
we'll play it by ear and see how it goes. And if the time comes when we can or we are going to get the filters, and then we'll figure it out.
Yeah, and just hope. Let's just hope for a mild winter.
Yeah, I know. Our luck, it's not going to be, but
So far, we're having great weather
yeah,
despite
yeah,
these crazy storms that have come through. But
totally.
overall, it's been pretty nice out.
Yeah, and we actually just got heaters today, and we put a roof, and we're enclosing one side of the outdoor dining. So I mean, that will help at least, for the month of November. And then, I wouldn't sit outside in December. So unless it's like really, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But we are working with Rethink, the charity Rethink, and
Oh,
we're working with
wonderful.
Cook Unity. So that does help bring in some money as well. So
Oh, that's terrific. And
yeah.
that's a good segue to my I have an announcement on the show. I wanted to let everyone know about a new app. It's called Good to Go, and it's led by Gayleen Quinn, who's the co-founder of Ask Chefs Anything Initiative, which she launched with Anna Polanski, who was my guest on episode 251. So, Too Good to Go is a social impact company leading the food waste revolution, and they just launched in the US. They're now in New York City and Boston, and it's following their success that they've had in Europe. And the app connects people with surplus food at stores and restaurants at the end of the day, so delicious produce and prepared meals aren't wasted. And I just think it's awesome. I downloaded the app. I suggest you do too. I haven't ordered yet, but it's toogoodtogo.com is their website, and it's TOO good to go. Check it out on their app. It's a way to fight food waste by connecting neighborhood restaurants and grocery stores with consumers. So I think it's a great idea, and I hope it's super successful. So I'm now going to do my solo dining experience. So this week it's at 232 Bleecker. Here's the rundown. The location, 232 Bleecker Street at Carmine Street in the West Village of New York City. So the concept is a neighborhood restaurant featuring vegetable forward dishes, homemade pastas, and simple hearty options from an open kitchen featuring a wood-burning hearth. The founder is Adam Eskin of Dig Food Group and executive chef Suzanne Cups or Susie Cups. And she was last running the kitchen at USHG's Untitled at the Whitney. So why did I go? Well, I was hungry for a healthfully delicious brunch. My experience. So this past Saturday, I got a reservation. It was late-ish on Saturday afternoon. Reservation for one. I was greeted outside at the host stand, or the host stand's kind of like near the the entrance, but like half indoor, half out. They did a temperature check on me when I checked in case I wanted to go inside and use the bathroom. And I sat outside at a quaint little table on the side of the restaurant. It's on a corner street, so they have a good amount of seating. I ordered. Susie actually was there and brought out my food for me, so I got a chance to see her and chat. It was really nice. I had a really good time. So what did I get? I got their bacon jam, egg and cheese on a house-made English muffin with aji dolce hot sauce. And Susie sent out some extra greens, and then I also had coffee. My take, well, they had me at the bacon jam. It was super yummy. Great sandwich. Definitely hit the spot. The ambiance is a welcoming and casual outdoor setting around this corner location and floor-to-ceiling windows inside. I'd say it's perfect for dining solo or with friends. Interesting tidbit. So 232 is Dig Food Group's first full-service restaurant, and it opened in December. And personal fun fact, I had dined at the restaurant near the opening with an industry friend at the bar, and it was also great. The cost of this meal was $22, not including tax and gratuity. Would I go back? Yes, and their website is 232bleecker.com. So there you go. Outdoor dining in the West Village. A lot happening downtown, I find, in the city, like from your neighborhood in the East Village and West Village, Soho. Not as much happening in Midtown.
Yeah, I know. And that's one of the reasons why piggyback is just not reopening right now. But yeah, the downtown area is, I think for the most part, everyone's being super responsible with their outdoor dining, and it's a fun vibe for sure outdoors.
Yeah, it is. It is. And especially I find blocks where there's multiple restaurants in a row. It's, the energy is just going down the block, and it's good. So, okay, it's time for the final question. So my next guest is Julia Bainbridge. She is a writer. She's the creator of Lonely Podcast, and she has a new book out too. It's called Good Drinks, and it features alcohol-free recipes for when you're not drinking for whatever reason. So, Leah, what would you like to ask Julia?
Oh, well, first of all, I love that because my husband doesn't drink, and I have a pretty low tolerance right now because I was pregnant. So I have like a 1-year-old. So like when I was pregnant, I wasn't drinking, so my tolerance just like whatever became like 2 drinks and that's it. So I really like the concept of that book because I feel like most cocktail or mocktails are just like an afterthought. I want to know why she decided to do a non-alcoholic cookbook, and are there any ingredients because my thing is like I find them usually to be too sweet. So are there any ways because I still want like low cal. So are there any low cal recipes in the book that don't skimp on the flavor? Yeah, I guess that's the question.
It's a really good question because I don't drink alcohol either, or like your husband. And I find a lot of times non-alcoholic drinks are too sweet or too sour, or just like the balance isn't right.
Uh-huh.
So I'm with you on that. And I'm excited to talk with her because she's got tons of recipes in this book. So it should be a good conversation. So
is it available now? Because I might purchase that because I actually am really trying to learn how to make non-alcoholic drinks.
It is. I ordered a book off Amazon. So,
Okay.
And it came, you know how quick Amazon is. So,
oh yeah, awesome.
you can have the book tomorrow. And congratulations on your book. I'm super, super excited about it. I have to order your book. Actually, I'm going to do that. Actually, as soon as we end this podcast, because I love, with my tip and telling people, or talking about experimenting or not being afraid of doing something different is like I don't cook Thai food at home. I don't think I've ever really tried, so I'm gonna have to take my own tip.
Yeah, it can be a little intimidating at first, but it's just getting all the ingredients is the overwhelming part. But then I think there are recipes in there for beginners and experienced chefs or cooks, especially home cooks who, have always wanted to try but never have cooked Thai food at home. So there's a little something in there for everyone.
Yeah, well, I love peanut sauce. That's what I'm really going for.
Oh, I just made it on Wendy Williams yesterday. So,
Oh, awesome.
yeah.
Well, that's cool. I'll have to stay tuned for that too. So, well, thank you so much. Congratulations on your whole career. I wish you the best in continuing with Pig and Cow and getting Piggy back open whenever it's time to get it open.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're very welcome. So my guest today has been Leah Cohen. She's the chef and owner of Pig and Cow and of Piggyback NYC, and she's a Top Chef alum, and she has a new cookbook, Lemongrass and Lime, Southeast Asian Cooking at Home. Her website is, I'll send you to one, pigandcow.com. You can check it out. You can find a lot of info there, and you can follow her on social media at Leah S. Cohen and at Pig and Cow. You can follow me at Sherry Bayer, at Bayer PR, and at All Industry. My Facebook page is All in the Industry. My websites are BayerPublicRelations.com, SherryBayer.com, and AllInTheIndustry.com. All of our shows are archived at heritageradionetwork.org. We are also on iTunes, Stitcher, and Spotify. Thanks to my engineer today, Amanda Wang. Thanks again to Leah, and thanks to our publicist, Pamela. I'm Sherry Bayer. Till next week, be safe, be well, and thank you for being part of All in the Industry. Bye. All in the Industry is powered by Simplecast. I'm Sherry Bayer, and you're listening to Heritage Radio Network, a member-supported podcast network broadcasting over 35 weekly shows live from Bushwick, Brooklyn. This year, HRN is celebrating 10 years of food radio. For the past decade, we've been taking you behind the scenes of farms, restaurants, breweries, school cafeterias, and more. It's been 10 years, and we're just getting started. Learn more at heritageradionetwork.org.
Hey there, I'm Lee Ullman here with some big news from the National Young Farmers Coalition. We're partnering with Heritage Radio Network on a special season of The Farm Report. It's all about what's happening with the Farm Bill and how it impacts farmers and eaters.
I am growing diversified vegetables on land that's been in our family for 150 years.
And so with the pandemic, gentrification, property values going up, we had to sell the land and we lost it.
Join us as we uncover the untold stories behind this massive piece of legislation that shapes how we grow our food, what we eat, and so much more.
The problems we have had, those are things that come from earlier Farm Bill and USDA policy, right? Like Earl Butts, get big or get out.
You know, it's my responsibility to know not only what I'm eating, but then like how that all came to be, and realize like, wow, like this piece of legislation, all this money, like it's technically something that I support as a taxpayer.
While Congress debates the next Farm Bill, this is not just an invitation to listen. It's a call to action. Be part of the conversation. Subscribe to the Farm Report on Heritage Radio Network, wherever you listen to podcasts.